this is my favorite camera right now. So one of the reasons I'm stoked on the Fuji X100V is its size. I've had small cameras in the past, but this one has stuck with me the longest. To the untrained eye, this camera usually gets mistaken for a film camera, which has its perks. People tend to overlook you so that you can shoot discreetly, and you're not drawing too much attention to yourself. Not only does this camera allow you to fly under the radar, but it feels amazing in your hand. The compact size of this camera makes it easy to handle. It's impressively small. I've added a thumb grip to mine for added comfort and for something to grab when I'm out shooting. I feel I can effortlessly operate this camera with just one hand. Carrying around this tiny camera is pretty easy. Sometimes I do add a strap to this camera, which keeps it pretty small and even more convenient. After using this small camera for the past year, I'm pretty over carrying a camera bag full of lenses wherever I go. Okay, it may not look like it, but I'm getting dumped on right now with the rain. It's June in Calgary and it's only 7 degrees Celsius. I'm freezing, but I'm out here to snap some photos. It is far from blue skies and sunshine, but I find I usually get some of my favorite photos in crappy conditions like this. With the rain today, I'd really love to get a photo of somebody with an umbrella. It's something you don't see that often in Calgary. I think one of the biggest reasons why everybody wants to use this camera is the ability to shoot with film simulations. And I'm no different, I love them. One of the reasons why I picked up this camera in the first place was to remove some of the friction that comes in the way when creating. For myself, editing does not get me that excited. So to have the ability to have your images look incredible right out of camera is very appealing to me. To be honest, I still do edit my photos that come out of here. I shoot in JPEG and in RAW. Oftentimes I screw up the exposure or I use the wrong film sim, but the images that come out of this are just incredible. The film simulations are half of simplifying my workflow. The other half is actually getting the images off of here. Not too long ago, Fuji's app for this sucked. But recently, they just updated the app and it is incredible. It is very easy to wirelessly connect the camera to your phone and transfer the images seamlessly. Prior to the app updating, I actually have this dongle that plugs into my iPhone and you can plug an SD card into the dongle. I'd love to show it to you, I just can't remember where I put it. But trust me, this thing is a game changer. It's actually handy for any camera that uses SD cards. Anyways, film simulations have helped remove the friction in the creative process that helped me get my photos quickly from my head to the camera out to the world. Lately, I've been a fan of shooting in black and white on this camera, but like I said, I love having the option to edit it however I want later on. I'm so glad I wore long underwear today because it is freezing out here. Right now I'm under a tree trying to stay dry. So over the past few years, I've actually noticed that I haven't been holding the camera up to my face as much as I used to. I don't think this camera's straight. There we go, don't get dizzy. I notice I specifically don't look through the viewfinder as much when I'm out shooting street photos. I found that when you're holding the camera up to your face, people pay more attention to you, which I'm usually trying to avoid. I find that when I do hold the camera up to my face, I am kind of limited to where my head can go to try and frame up an image. For example, I can't put the camera right against the ground or lift it above my head to see what I'm framing. So that's where this incredible screen comes in. I just took a photo of somebody behind me and I could still frame it up looking at the screen and they didn't even notice me. Having an articulating screen on a small camera like this feels game-changing to me. It allows me to frame up images differently and still be able to monitor what I'm shooting. Because I wear glasses, my eye is never as close to the eyepiece as it should be. So I've noticed that the way that I frame images is usually pretty off. If you don't have glasses, I'm sure that makes no sense to you, but I find this to be a big problem for me. I just find it easier to look at the back of the screen than having to put this up to my face. I think I just saw somebody drop their phone. Never mind, I think that was drugs. I'm just gonna leave that there. Okay, another perk of this camera, touchscreen. I find touchscreen can be nice for focusing and for navigating through like the camera menus and reviewing photos and stuff. I don't find it's necessary. It's just a nice to have, and I feel like every camera nowadays should probably have it. It's where I do like the touchscreen functions on this camera is that swiping different ways on the screen gives you custom button functions. So on my camera, when you swipe up on the bottom of the screen, it automatically goes to review. You can customize these to be pretty much whatever you want them to be. By doing this, it makes the back of the camera actually cleaner, having less buttons on there, and you don't need to dig as deep into the menus to access whatever function you're looking for. So I've been out here for quite a while and I've barely got any photos. I thought it was gonna be a little bit busier. Do I stay out here and keep shooting in the rain? Or do I wait 2 days when it's gonna be 15 degrees warmer and sunny? The X100V has 26 megapixels packed into this little thing. That's actually double the megapixels than the Sony I'm shooting this on right now. Now, I'm not one to obsess over pixel peeping or getting lost in the technical details, but let me tell you, this camera is nothing short of amazing. There's been a bunch of times that I'm out shooting on a project and I'm able to mix some of the photos from this camera in with my other high megapixel cameras, and nobody knows the difference. A benefit to having a high megapixel camera is that you can crop and reframe your images after you've shot them. This camera does have a feature in the menus that does allow you to crop into the image while you're shooting photos. Yeah, there we go. You can shoot at a 50mm or a 70mm focal length right in camera. It's just cropping into the sensor, but it is handy when you're framing your images. It's not my favorite function, but it does help me properly try to frame what it is I'm shooting. This only crops the JPEG, it doesn't crop the RAW, so don't worry, the RAW is untouched. I'm glad I wore these gloves. Maybe I'm not supposed to be sitting here. Now I've got to admit, I might be the only person in the entire world where 35mm is not my favorite focal length. Well, it's not that it's not my favorite, I'm just not very good at using it. This camera has a 23mm focal length, but it's cropped, so it's the equivalent to a 35mm. And that's probably good, because I think that that's actually most people's favorite focal length. Also, this lens has an aperture of 2.0. I'm working on it, and one day it's gonna be my favorite. So in the meantime, I'm forcing myself to shoot with this focal length. Now we all know there's probably a lot more pros than cons when using this focal length. I'm pretty sure that 35mm is pretty close to what our eyes see. So everything that you shoot on it looks pretty true to life. 35mm allows you to capture wide angle stuff as well as tight stuff, which makes it a very diverse focal range. Well, it's not a focal range, it's just one length, 35. So here's the interesting part. Even though this is not my favorite focal length, this discomfort leads to growth and improvement in my photos. What I appreciate about the X100V is its simplicity. I'm not faced with the choices of what lens am I gonna take out, what filter am I gonna use. I've only got one option. Look how small this lens is. The lack of options help me spark creativity. Every time I pick this thing up, I'm encouraged to think more creatively and find an innovative way to capture whatever it is I'm shooting. Going out and taking photos like this is a blast for me. It's especially enjoyable for me when I don't have to carry a whole backpack or a whole variety of lenses. I can pick up this tiny camera and set off to create something cool. So to me, having lightweight gear like the Fuji X100V, it allows me to slow down, enjoy the process, explore freely, and capture those special moments without being weighed down by a bunch of gear. Like I said, I've been more comfortable shooting street stuff with longer lenses, so if you want to see a video of me doing that, I'll link one right here. If not, pray for me that the sun will come out and so I don't freeze and catch hypothermia. Anyways, I'm gonna keep snapping some photos. We'll see you later. There was actually a lot of people out with umbrellas, more than I expected. I think I got the shot.